Moghis Uddin is the CEO of Alethian AI, the first HIPAA-compliant Agentic AI healthcare delivery platform purpose-built to automate clinical workflows end-to-end, with first-in-market capabilities, including Agentic HPI intake, a live AI scribe, AMA licensed CPT content for live scribe training and CPT billing code suggestions, and an autonomous call center. Alethian AI delivers real-time documentation, billing, and patient engagement, eliminating after-hours chatting and reducing administrative costs. Moghis, if you take me all the way back to your college days, what was your plan and did it play out how you had planned?
Funny question. Yeah, it did not play out. I went to school for computer science, then I changed my major to genetic engineering. And unfortunately, my father died, and then I went into
Mm.
finance. And I had to take care of his finances, ran a fund for until 2020. And then my wife was in pandemic era and handling medical crisis. That brought me into medical practice and how to build a software where I can support her end-to-end solution. So simple solution is no, I didn't start, but I am where I started from.
Yeah, it sounds like you're very open to new ideas because you've been tossed around into very different disciplines. Most people are generally happy to stay where they're comfortable. And even if they take a different career shift, it's usually within the ecosystem of the tools they're comfortable with. These are like really different skill sets. So what do you think that says about yourself?
I just like to figure things out, I guess. And maybe I get bored if I figure things out and move on to the next one, but it's a big challenge. What we are facing
Yeah.
now in healthcare is a big challenge. I don't think I'll get bored.
Yeah, so the healthcare industry is a hard one to inspire to change towards. It's a very bureaucratic structure and the cogs turn slowly. So walk me through the process of what inspired you to start Alethian AI.
After I closed my investment firm and I saw my wife during the pandemic, and she was struggling. For her, it was a hobby. She was running a clinic, probably making about $25,000 a year, just running a
Mm.
clinic and having fun. But there were a lot of problems. When I saw it, it's every single time there's a process which was friction over friction. So for her, even to let go of a receptionist was a painful act because she has to do the job and so many frictions. So I looked at it and I said, okay, let's figure out a way how to solve it. And when we were looking at it, I solved her problem. And then the AI, I was working with AI before, I said, oh, there's a better way to solve the end-to-end solution from patient intake all the way to the patient journey, to the doctor journey, all the way to the billing. So that was my idea. And then I looked into it, went deep into it and started the company. And that's why we call it end-to-end solutions. You solve
Yeah,
problems.
very interesting. So tell me more about the services Alethian AI provides. And is there something else out there that does something similar, or is this a pretty novel idea?
I mean, people do it, to be honest, like people do chunks and pieces of it end to end. Autonomous Clear Farm, we are the only one we are doing it. Plus, live conversation AI scribe, we are the first one to launch that one. It's a very complex problem to solve, as you mentioned, with getting AMA license to train the models and do the billing right. And also as the visit unfolds, doctor actually practically see everything what's going on. And it's literally they validate end of that visit and just simply finish the workflow. So there are a lot of moving parts to it. And my idea is to make it as frictionless as possible.
Yeah. So you talk about automating clinical workflows. Can you tell me more about exactly what that entails?
From a patient experience, from clinic experience or doctor experience, because we solve all those problems. So I'll start with patient, like you're looking for searching for a doctor, or you go on website and you search some things. With our platform, you say contextually, I have knee pain, I'm looking for a doctor. And it will give you the doctors who have the knee pain, and it will give you what time they're available. So you book the meeting right there, like online or in person, and then we send them the express check-in. So it asks about initial questions, all the forms you fill. Then we go into Agentic AI, HPI intake, which will ask you questions about knee pain. When did you fall? How did it happen? All the questions the nurse would ask or doctor ask for the first 10 minutes about knowing the HPI intake, or agent will take care of those questions and give the summary to the doctor. And when
Mm.
you go arrive in the clinic, basically you scan the QR code. If there's certain things you haven't done, it will ask you. And if you say no, I would rather talk to the doctor. The doctor has a summary of what you say. And as you walk in, the doctor will basically have the history of your present illness, what happened, what was the cause of the problem, chest pain, do you have comorbidity stuff.
Yeah.
And then doctor it says in app scribe, as soon as you start talking to a patient, it will actually document as you speak on the fly with the recommendations to a doctor. For example, if you say I have ear pain, it will say, or physical exam recommended, maybe check the ear and the throat. And as the doctor is unfolding, it's documenting along with the CPT code, which is called billing codes, and ICD code, which is called assessment. It is doing the assessment and plan as on the fly.
Mm.
And it takes about 20 seconds after a doctor is done, the whole note is complete. They can upload to the EMR and doctors are done. So it takes away the burden of like after hour burden, as well as it basically generates a live interactive experience. We call it conversational because doctors can say, eliminate this thing, and I prescribe 500 mg of amoxicillin, and it will just document within 3 seconds into the note.
Yeah, this is what AI should be doing. It should allow people who are highly skilled to really focus on what makes them exceptionally unique. Anything that can be patternized or delegated forward is really where AI is going to play a major role, at least in the initial stages of development, as we
Mhm.
get this AI to do more and more complex tasks. So, what you're saying sounds wonderful. And in more broadly speaking, it's likely where all industries are heading, where we're going to use AI as this virtual assistant to take our notes, to facilitate the workflow, and then the doctor, who is an asset to the company, should be just focusing on looking at problems, coming up with solutions.
Mhm.
And in some ways, the doctor can produce more output. And I'm sure the company now can reduce their costs because the doctor usually listening, taking down notes, and then having a secretary and then having a nurse to do some of this sort of work free up the process. So I imagine some doctors can charge a little less, make a little more. At its truest form, it just sounds like a practical idea. It sometimes really good ideas don't need to be rocket science. They need to be efficient.
Exactly. You summarized it very well. That's what the future is going to be. As you mentioned, it's just the initial stages of AI. The future is going to be more doctor friendly, receptionist friendly, so people more care about the people than the data science. It's really, or especially healthcare, it has been like old school. If you look at, if you have been in the doctor's office, everybody will tell you it's a very click system. And my wife tells me there are three fatigues she goes through: click fatigue, talk fatigue, and note fatigue. Click fatigue is she has to like click all the time. And when you're clicking, it takes time to click and finding out where the information is so they can make a decision. So you're right. It has been like, I think healthcare has been the neglected child because of its complexity, which involves to build a platform which is doctor friendly and also patient friendly.
But here's the double-edged sword or the dual nature of the
Mhm.
hospitality industry is getting a clear and efficient diagnosis with a clear
Mhm.
understanding of how to move forward. A big part of the industry is the human touch.
Mhm.
So how are you navigating those waters where AI is now going to kind of start turning everything into sort of like a logical technical workflow? I know this might sound a little counterintuitive, but a part of the experience of going to a doctor is having a doctor sit down, listen to your problem, empathize, sympathize with your situation, and give you a personal touch of, hey, here's what I recommend you do. I have a daughter who went through the same situation. With AI, that can be a little more distant. Is this being considered when doctors are implementing your tool?
I think it's the other way around what your perception, what you're saying, because what doctors are doing is they're talking to patients before you come in. They have your problems, but the problem is the AI assistant, which is taking the interview beforehand. Like a nurse comes in and they ask you the same questions, and then doctor comes in, and sometimes they don't transfer it all, and they ask the same question. It's a bad experience.
That's actually like very true. You see that redundancy and inefficiency, and I've personally felt that before.
And on top of that, what you look at is when you go to a doctor, they are doing, and they have a 20 minutes because they are back to back book because of
Right.
we don't have too many doctors. So first 10 minutes or 20 minutes, they are recapping exactly what you're doing. And then they also think it's their patient waiting, and they talk to you, although they don't want to, but instead of healers, they become a prescriber. Okay, that's your problem. There's a solution. If you have another problem, come back next time. And that's a real problem we see all over. I've heard some doctors say one problem, one visit, or two problems, one visit. If you have more problems, come back next time. All these things are basically a burden of just not having enough time. If you create
Mm,
time, doctor will become healers. They want to take care of patients. They want to make sure the patients are happy, but they don't, they're time constrained and all the technology. They, instead of doctors, they're basically technology consultants who have no idea how to run technology. I think AI would
mm.
solve that problem big time. And we are solving it.
That's a great answer. What kind of bottlenecks does the company have in terms of taking that next step in growth in the company? Is it a technological one? Is it a constraint due to the industry being heavily regulated as it is?
I think it's a skepticism and also change management. Skepticism is like, for example, I'll give you AI. People have no idea what AI is. Their
Right.
best experience of AI is ChatGPT or Copilot. So that's the idea of real AI is very augmentation to the reasoning models and making sure you make other people's life easy. A medical field in itself is a very good test case for AI because it has to be really documented and very controlled. You have to have enough guardrails in place. So it works in tandem with the doctor, not giving hallucinations and giving ideas you might be wrong. So it's the idea you'll see in the next couple of years, medical field will lead the AI. I believe in that because doctors are 0.001% of the population. Once they adopt, it will change the world because it will make their life easy and it will make the patient's life easy and it will cut down costs dramatically. I can talk about for hours about this thing. I believe it's going to change the future. AI will change the future for doctors.
Yeah, and we're constantly downgrading that timeline for generalized intelligence. And one of the fields that people predicted would be greatest under threat with the progression of AI is the healthcare industry, in the sense that doctors need to absorb a ton of information and be able to make snap decisions. AI is pretty good at that. And the rate of change is certainly growing faster than Moore's law. Perhaps human intelligence sounds like the biggest one of all, but we might just blow right through human intelligence and not look back. How does the industry look to you in the next 5 to 10 years? I think they've downgraded the prediction for generalized intelligence to 2030. So 2035, 2030, we're getting closer and closer to seeing some real drastic changes in the field of artificial intelligence.
It's a change which nobody knows where it's going to land. I have my own vision. I personally believe in the next few years, some of the mundane things were doctor burnout and also the patient's burnout. For example, you have a UTI. There will be a system in place where AI would ask the questions. It has to go through the FDA regulations. Just like over the counter medication, there'll be over the counter AI people who will solve simple problems where you have a sore throat and everybody's not intelligent. We think everybody's intelligent. Some people don't know what to do. If AI can solve simple problems and bring in some kind of intermediary where AI prescribes something with the FDA approval, so patients don't have to go to the doctor and they can take care of some of the symptoms. That will be the outcome. It will come just like OTC over the counter medications are coming. There will be a time in our lifetime in the next 5 years or 7 years or
Yeah.
10 years, depending upon how FDA approves things. Simple problems would be addressed by AI, of course, augmented by doctor. They say, yes, that's fine. And you will get medications at home. So simple doctors would not be like overwhelmed by simple uh, task of like giving you medication when you know what the medication is. And you have to go to a doctor to get the medication because they have to look at the side effects and all this stuff. Things will change.
Yeah.
That's my outcome is doctors will be trained more broadly, not a general practitioner, but more broadly. AI will assist them and there will be more multi-specialty doctors than subspecialty doctors.
It's almost like malpractice at this point not to leverage AI to some capacity to help you in the industry. In a general sense, the use case of what you're doing now at your company is essentially just dealing with all the noise and allowing experts to do expert level work. Do
Mhm.
you see it coming a day where today we're like, hey, let's leverage AI to deal with some of these simple tasks, but we're completely in control, obviously, so we can do more of what humans do. Do you see there being a point where it's more like humans become the liability in the equation and AI just does it so much better, and having a human even calibrate the AI is another conversation of just mistakes and misunderstandings from the human end, not from the AI end?
It's a good intellectual question to ask. Let me ask you again. I should be asking you: do you think without human touch, there's healing?
That you mean 100%. I think we're exceptionally unique, but just a few bites away from being replaced. To take this conversation on a slight diverted path here, when we were talking about AI 5, 10 years ago,
Uh-huh.
we imagined it will be kind of grown in this sandbox, in this confined environments with scientists poking away at it. And the first LLM was kind of thrown into the wild with ChatGPT saying, everyone have fun with this, and we're going to use your data to calibrate the AI. And if we were to speculate and we would have a conversation of certain areas that we would think AI would do the best, but humans would still excel for a long time, dealing with law, AI would immediately be effective, maybe programming and computer science. But the stuff that makes humans exceptionally unique, art, music, photography, this sort of stuff,
Mhm.
humans are going to be in charge for a long time. And in fact, what's surprising to us is AI makes incredibly good music. It makes incredibly good poetry.
Mhm.
And at least in the early days, where I'm going with this is people say hey, the human touch, which is a question that I threw at you earlier. I think it'll be the human touch until AI does the human touch so much better. That's my humble opinion. It's a little dystopian.
We can agree to disagree. If you go to doctor, if you go to a doctor, there's more than just healers.
I agree
Throughout
with
the
you.
history, how can I would disagree strongly with that one. How can a healer can feel and touch? For example, your spleen is not working well. Doctor has to check your abdominal to see pressure point does it hurt you.
I agree with you. You'll have many cases where those certain nuances will resist AI taking over those positions for the longest period of time. If you look at it at its granular level, we're really discussing whether what's in here is truly magical. If what in here can be modeled and then it
Mhm.
can be replicated, I think when it's reconstructed with more ideal materials, the mystery and mystique behind human behavior might not be as mysterious. And I don't think you can get any 5 people in a room to agree on anything of where AI is going. It's purely speculation, honestly, with maybe
Yeah, yeah.
some,
What
intuition.
you're saying is intuitive AI, right? Not contextual AI, intuitive AI, right? Because
Yes,
intuition
exactly.
is you can call it sixth sense, right? Uh, so intuitive AI, I think even contextual AI, we have been working very hard on the contextual AI. Reasoning model of contextual reasoning, I call it tertiary reasoning, connecting the dots and coming up with unique solutions which might not be there. It's not intuition, but it's just a contextual reasoning, right? What you're talking about is actually pretty interesting. It's like AI is intuitive enough to be precise and to the point, right? If its intuition is precise to the point of science, then it's not intuition. We then we will redefine the sixth sense, right? That's what you're saying is e- eventually we will have to redefine sixth sense. What is the sixth
Right.
sense?
And eventually we'll even question whether what makes human exceptional is what we should be holding on to, because perhaps at some point we'll be calibrating AI with what we think how things should be, but
Mhm.
it almost be like ants are trying to control gods to some extent. If you were to like layer this with like humans and monkeys have aspirations for
Mhm.
having bananas. They don't care about calculus. They don't care about algebra. They don't look into the stars and ask bigger questions. And if you have monkeys kind of controlling humans to some extent, we're all going to be fighting over which banana is best. But really, the conversation can start getting much higher. The real question comes is there some threshold to where this progress we're making with AI? Are we going to start hitting a ceiling sometime soon? Or are we just going to blow right through it? So, yeah, that's an open ended question. I like the theoretical conversation.
So conversation, guardrails are intellectual conversations. Human to see beyond humans. Now we are talking AI as God, right? That's what you're
Right.
saying is someone is higher than our intellectual capacity, right? But the logical reasoning still stays the same. We talk about Einstein. He could figure things out. Would there be a AI which will be better than Einstein? Definitely yes. Would we have
Yeah.
would it have human touch? Human touch is more about feeling and actually perceiving
It's more of
things
a
that
broader sense of intelligence that we're waiting for. So like you can pick up a calculator, it is way smarter than any human alive to do basic
Mhm.
arithmetic, but it doesn't know what's a door and what's a table, right? So I
Yeah.
think when you get like a very broader sense of generalized intelligence, that's where it gets kind of gray and no one's really sure where we're heading.
You know what we should do is 1 year down the road, you make a prediction, I make a prediction. Both of us
Yeah.
will be wrong, and we'll have the same conversation again.
Yeah, that's likely very true. But to pull this back to what you're doing, it really could be superimposed on your specific business model. This industry is really uncharted waters, and you almost can't even fall in love with a single layer of complexity or tool or process because this industry is just evolving extremely quickly.
Mhm.
Complacency is the death of you in this industry. Are you feeling that like the more the technology progresses, the much greater your capabilities are, or are you truly hindered by your bottlenecks, say the bureaucracy of the healthcare system and regulations and stuff like HIPAA?
It's going to stay there. Guardrails have to be there because we are talking about humans, right? Within the guardrails, I think we have a lot of potential to move forward. Starting from the US, right now, AI is expensive. It costs a lot of money to train models. Think about Africa and a small, just like Facebook, in small town in Africa, where they don't have access to any healthcare. And we are there asking them the problems right now. Right now in our platform, we can speak 50 languages. We ask those questions,
Hmm.
figure out what's going on with their life. And then just doing a virtual triage and telling them maybe these are short-term solutions. And if someone needs help, maybe trigger somewhere 50 miles, 100 miles down the road, hey, this person might need your help. And someone goes there and basically preventative medicine is going to become more and more important. And this thing is going to go to places healthcare had never been before. You're talking about cities and small towns in Africa, in India, and Pakistan, where people don't even have access to pure, clean water, but they have access to technology. They have phones. So it will change in so many ways. And that's what I was saying is in the future, after 1 year, you and me will be talking and say, you were wrong, I was wrong. All of us, we were wrong. We are
Yeah.
in the cusp of changing all the way the future's for now. It is a beautiful time to be around, seeing two
Yeah.
technology changes simultaneously, internet and then AI revolution. It is going to make a big difference. And the frontier of this one is going to be healthcare because it needs help. And we have the more data in healthcare than any other data combined. I read somewhere, like 2/3 of all the data stored in the US is healthcare data.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating.
So when you have that much data, how much AI could be powerful just learning from the data and actually making a difference in human life? I'm very optimistic. I think it's going to change a lot of people's life. It will save lives and it will make a lot of people's life easy.
Yeah, as the technology and capabilities progress, that data can be leveraged in so many unique ways. It's kind of like
Mhm.
mapping someone's genome. Right,
Mhm.
right now we can do very little with that, but even today there's this GPT CRISPR fusion tool that's been out. I had a meeting, my prior podcast, I just talked about it, where you're able to use LLM to literally instruct CRISPR. You kind of like import this genome and you can tell CRISPR exactly where you want it to slice, and the AI will go ahead and set it all up for you. And you're literally looking at it as source code of a living creature, which is absolutely fascinating. And I couldn't agree with you more. How can people get in touch with you?
AlethianAI.com or Alethian.com. And we are looking for good talent who can help us grow the company bigger. And also we're looking for clinics who can adopt early adopters. And eventually the future is going to be there. And we would love to be part of the future in healthcare.
Awesome. It was so great talking to you, Mogus.